G'day, I'm Craney and welcome to One Last Kick. Thanks for joining us on our journey as we take a look back and relive some of the moments of football clubs that have had to close their doors for good. Today we're heading into the Western Australian wheat belt. But before we did, we thought we'd stop at this location, as this location here brought the little town of Dumbleyung onto the international stage in 1964.
I think we're speaking now to two of the most excited people in the world, Donald Campbell and his wife Tonya. How are you, Donald? How do you feel now? Well, very relieved. We've been terribly lucky here at Dumbleyung as we were at Lake Dumbleyung.
A bloke by the name of Donald Campbell thought he'd have a crack at breaking the world water speed record right here on this very lake, Lake Dumbleyung. So he went back, brought his crew down, bought his boat, called the Bluebird, and there's a replica of the Bluebird just as you travel into Dumbleyung, right on your right-hand side. In front of a big crowd, Donald Campbell went zipping down this very lake to reach a speed of 444.71 kilometres an hour to break that record. Fantastic effort.
I feel sure that you'll have something to say to all your team here at Lake Dumbleyung too on the lakeside. Well, my word, we've already had something to say to them over the radio, and well, this is the first time that any one team has taken these two records in the same year, and we're jolly grateful that it's been us, and frankly glad that we've been able to do it here in Australia. And what about celebrations tonight? Are you going into the town of Dumbleyung? Well, we certainly will be, yes, because we want to show our thanks and appreciation to all the boys here at Dumbleyung who've worked so hard.
But there's still a bit of a journey for us to travel on. Before we do, there's a unique little setup here that I'd like to show you, and then we'll head off. Just so happens we've met some wonderful people on our little tour here, and Vic is a bit of an expert, he tells me. There is a pretty unique thing about this rock. It has a little hole in it up here, and Vic is going to tell us exactly what it is.
Well, when they built this, it was to reflect the time of day that Donald Campbell broke the speed record on this lake. And that particular time, around 3 in the afternoon, reflects the light through to his plaque down here and highlights the Bluebird on the water.
How good is that? See, a little bit of local knowledge goes a long way. Well, we've been here long enough, we better head up down the highway. Thanks guys, enjoy your travels. Well, welcome to the town of Moulyinning. Halfway between Dumbleyung and Cookerran, or thereabouts. Look, it's fair to say that the town, although it was never a very big town, has shrunk a little bit. And the main buildings now, of course, the big CBH bin, which takes in a lot of grain throughout the area. The old school behind me is still standing, and the hall. Now, Moulyinning, in around about 1912, 1914, the crews come through here to build the railway, and they set up camp in this area. Then the local farmers sort of joined in to socialise, and the town of Moulyinning started up. And in its heyday, it had a couple of general stores, it had the post office, it had the school, and it was quite a good little community setup. Now what the town did have was a very strong sporting feel about it. It had a strong hockey club, tennis club. They had a racing turf club, they called it. Not so sure if they ran on turf, but it was a strong club as well. And the trotting club, as well as a cricket club. You named it, they played it here. But what they did have was a very, very powerful football club. From 1958 to 1966, they run 9 consecutive premierships. A pretty fair effort, isn't it? Now, we're having a look at a few of the names on the board. There is some famous football names around this area. So I think it's time we went and tried to catch up with a couple of them. G'day Tom.
Alan, Tom Pearce, how are you?
Yeah, Alan Craney, mate, how is it?
Good, thank you.
Thanks for doing this for us, mate, the Moulyinning Footy Club.
Yes, no, the boys are very excited.
Yeah, I know you've rounded up a few boys around the place.
Half a footy team.
Now, just quickly, your dad was an absolute legend of the Moulyinning Footy Club. Did you play for Moulyinning?
No.
But you did go on to have a very good career at Claremont
Yeah,
Football
no, I
Club.
played a bit of footy, but no, Dad wouldn't let me play. I was a bit too young and he didn't want me to get hurt.
A 1981 Waffle Premiership player with Claremont, though?
Yes, correct.
That would have been a fairly big... How old were you then?
Oh, I think I was about 23 or 4.
23 or 24? Gee.
Yeah.
How long did you spend at Claremont?
3 years.
And then come back to
Yep,
play in the
came
local
back.
league?
Yep. Yep.
For
Cookham.
Yeah.
Now Cookham and Dumbleyung, the two teams are combined.
When
Two
did they
towns.
join forces?
I think it was about in the early 90s.
How'd they go? Because there would have been a bit of rivalry between them
Yeah,
two
there was
clubs.
a bit of feistiness for a start, but now it's, as usual, it all settles down.
Now, we're here to talk about the Moulyinning Footy Club. What's your earliest memories?
Always just being with Dad under all these guys' feet as a kid. I was just always there, and they were, they just treated us kids like we were just part and parcel of it. It was wonderful. Yeah.
What's the stories about you climbing the goalposts?
Oh, well, that's Westy telling tales. I don't think I would have been doing that, but he reckons I did.
Now, you've rounded up a few of the guys for us today.
Yes,
A few of the past legends.
yes.
Who's probably the oldest one that we're going to meet? Not giving away too many ages,
No,
but
I think Bob Bray and Spike Edwards. I think Bob Bray would be the oldest. He was our last president here.
and those guys would have played with your dad, Joe?
Oh yes, yeah. They might not have played with him. They might. I think Bob probably did. Most of them would have played under Dad because he coached for 20 years.
Later on in the show, we're going to have a chat to you about Joe Pearce, because I think he coached 9 premierships in a row.
Yes, yeah.
Gee, I tell you what, the party's a bit ongoing, mate. What do the other teams all think? Oh, here we go again.
No, well, Cookham were really good. They had 8 in a row, and the Murley guys just loved the first one, broke their run, and then won 9 themselves. So they just pipped Cookham, so they always just remind them of that a little bit.
Mate, this sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun.
It will be.
Let's
Al.
go in and meet the boys.
Okay.
Well, Tom, you've gathered us some absolute legends here. I've been talking to them out there and they told me they're legends, so I gather that's the case.
Yes, definitely.
Who have we got? Let's start with the gentleman next to you.
This is Malcolm Gooding. Malcolm played for us for a long time and also played for Claremont. Terry Bairstow,
Halfback flank.
halfback flank. And Bob Bray was our last president of the Moulyinning Footy Club, and Spike Edwards was our
Fullback.
wonderful fullback for many, many years. I can still hear his voice coming clearly through.
Now, Spike, we'll start with you. I was in the hotel last night and they said you were one of the biggest kicks in the Moulyinning Club. Is that right?
Well, I suppose I'd believe that.
What was your theory coming out of fullback? Did you do the dinky little side passes or did you pretty much straight down the middle?
Straight down the middle, I'd go to the flank sometimes and back up whoever was out there, get the footy and kick it to centre half forward.
You make it a pretty simple game, don't you?
That's right.
So, boys, what was your earliest memories of the Moulyinning Footy Club?
Watching my uncle play in 1948-49, I lived in the Cookham area, but that drew us to this fabulous centre of the university town and played all my footy here till we folded. The last year was 50 years this year since we played our last year.
Gee, that's huge, isn't it? When you just said there, the centre of the universe, there's a lot of outside towns here. What made you come and play for Moulyinning?
I think because my uncle played here, and that drew us to play here. And I was lucky enough to, my first year here was the first year of Joe Pearce, who became a kind of surrogate father to a lot of us. Some of in those days, our fathers were a little bit indifferent to kids, not like it is now. And I think we hung our hats on Joe for so much. The best thing I saw of him as a coach for 20 years was, didn't matter who turned up, he worked on them and turned them into football instead of like it is now. You turn up as you is and then play the game with them. One of the worst starters of football I ever saw in my life was a bloke called Spike. He was the most gangly, awkward, uncold.
You're talking about our good mate next to you.
I'm glad he's not here. And Joe worked on him, and he's in the Dumbleyung Lake Race book as the best fullback in history.
That is absolutely brilliant.
Oops, he's here.
And we'll move on to Terry. Where was your position, Terry? And when did you start at the Moulyinning Footy Club? I hope I got that right, boys. Moulyinning?
Yeah, I come here Eric Evers used to bring me out from Dumbleyung. I used to work out there when I was 13, 14 and onwards. And I started with Joe in playing either a boundary umpire or we played footy. And Joe used to put me in the forward pocket. And the next year or two after that, I ended up at the half-back flank. And I played my half-back flank, not man-to-man or behind him. I used to play 10 metres in front because I couldn't run very fast and I had to read the play to cut him off.
But you're also ahead of your game, because the modern game is all about the half-backs. Did you take that into account?
Well, I just read the game and got into position pretty much and done my job that way. I didn't closely watch people from behind or next to them. I used to play against the relations and I knew where they were going to kick it. You know, you could read the game coming at you a bit, and I've done my best games that way, I suppose.
And what about the big fella next to you? Obviously you went down to play in the Waffle and the Claremont career. Did you start your career at Moulyinning and then go to Claremont, or how did that all work?
Born and bred 2 miles away from the footy oval. The old man was a footballer, and it just sort of religion to him, so we go to every match while he played, and went to school here locally, and had two boys and 2 girls for each side, playing a match with the red mud on a Friday afternoon, and just kicked the kick on the so-called big arm, which is about from here to the other side of the hall. And had a couple of smaller friends, schoolmates, and used to practice marking overhead with them. And our big event in the early days was to go to Cookburn for an annual carnival. Surrounding schools, Lake Race and Iving, and remember Alan Mycott was a big gangly kid, and he grabbed the ball on the back line and just bounced it all the way out, pushing everybody else off him because he was 3 times the size of everybody else, kicking goals one after the other. So that was the only form of football structure we had as at primary school. There's no B grade at that stage. So you pack your bags, and so I came back in 1960, I think the first year. And Joe had picked the team, after the post in the change rooms, and no, not there, so take your bag out and go down to umpiring or whatever.
So if you missed the league squad, you went and done a bit of umpiring?
Yeah, I've got boundary.
Boundary umpiring. 9 consecutive flags. How many did you guys? Firstly, Spike, did you play many of them? And before we do that, that badge on your jumper, is that life membership badge?
No, they wouldn't give me one. I was too big of a rat bag. But
We didn't pay membership.
this was the year I started playing. Okay?
Right.
Of this Mooley badge. However, what was the other question?
How many flags did you play in?
I played 8.
8 of those flags?
Yes, and I had the mumps one year, and that's why I couldn't. I don't know what happened down the bottom. But
It didn't work that well for a young man? What about your good self?
I played an 8. I was injured in '69 and missed that one, so I played 8.
That is, how many did you go?
Yeah, I was lucky to get 8.
You got the 8?
Yeah, and I moved on to Dumbleyung, but the Mooley won the 9th. And my brother, Musso, he went to Lake Grace and got his 10th, coaching Lake Grace.
So you left Mooley after the 8th premiership and went to Dumbleyung?
Yep.
And what made you leave the power of Mooley?
We changed farms out to Moulyinning, halfway near Wagen.
Yeah, right.
And I played Dumbleyung for 3 years and then moved on to...
Did Dumbleyung play against Moulyinning?
Yep.
How'd you go when you lined up against the boys?
Well, you try harder against your relations. Brothers.
Did they give you a bit of advice when you were running out there?
Your coach.
No, we just
and
played
he
footy.
tried to clean me up a couple of times. It is a brother-in-law.
Did it work though, Spike?
Not really. I probably did a few things in them days I wouldn't do now. Or
What made you so powerful?
breeding and Joe Pearce. Yes. And
He's a big name, Joe Pearce, around here. Of course, your dad, Tom.
it was just a marvellous, I've never seen it anywhere else but here. I can remember all the players I played with here. Dumbleyung I can't, Waging I can't, but here I can. And this is the home of our football.
We didn't have a pub, part of the reason, and we're so very centralised here. In the book, Trevennan wrote, pointed out that we didn't have much changeover of players. We seem to have the same ones for a long time, and they're all pretty talented.
On the boards up here, Tom, there seems to be a lot of names very familiar to this district. Everybody had boys in the area?
Yes, there was a heck of a lot of boys. Dad didn't help out, he only had me as a boy and two daughters, but no.
Just on
Big
that,
place.
only 2 daughters. How did your sisters go? They must have been running, because all these guys had boys around the place.
Alison ended up staying. She married Bob's brother, but Tracy managed to escape.
Thanks, guys. It's been an absolute privilege having a chat to you. I believe there's a couple of guys down the old ground, so we'll go down there and have a bit of a chat to them. We might even get the footy out and a couple of old jumpers, and we'll probably just handball it around. You reckon? I don't know whether we'll kick it, but we'll see what happens. Do you reckon we'll wander down and have a chat to them? Let's go. It wasn't this one, obviously.
Great. How old's that, Spike?
those were the days.
Yeah. That's
That
a
is
ripper.
brilliant.
We had lots of fun.
Bloody eh?
Would everyone get one of them?
No,
Yeah,
only special football. This one.
What about the Coles
That's
Carnival, Spike?
Dumbleyung Lake guys, of course, and there's Moulyinning. Well, we're at the mighty Moulyinning Oval, and it's fair to say the tea sheds probably need a little bit of work before we get back in there. The change rooms, well, they used to be over there, but it'd probably be a bit embarrassing to get changed, Tommy. But we've got a couple more of the legends of your football club. Who have we got?
Who have we got
No
here?
legends.
Probably the youngest members: Graham Wilmot, Peter Dover, and Peter West. We'll call you young, Red.
Yeah, that'll do, Tommy.
Let's jump over to a nickname. Big Red the Dominator, they tell me. A ruckman who was fierce throughout this competition, is that right?
Well, I suppose it was, yeah. But I'll tell you what, we enjoyed it. I enjoyed all my time here at Moulyinning. It was our place where we played sport. Wife used to play hockey over here, and we played footy out here.
We're overlooking the oval now, and you did a lot of your work in the ruck. Did you come up against some pretty
Yes.
tall fellas? So you must have had a bit of leap about you.
Some very big tall, but I don't know whether they had much of a bloody leap, but there were some big tall fellas there. I remember one bloke, his name was Sid Walker, a Newdigate bloke, and he was pretty tall. But he had a nickname. Well, he had a nickname from me. It was like running into a bag of scarifier points. You know? How hard he was to hit anyway. So,
That is fantastic. And Pedro, what's
Yes.
your claim to fame on this mighty oval?
I did more boundary umpiring here than anybody else because I was the youngest. And as the years went by, we just ran out of players. So we had one team and that was it. I used to boundary umpire most weeks. Occasionally I'd get a game.
Was there a field umpire that was dominant around here? Who normally umpired your games? And did they have a league of umpires, or was it just somebody from the association?
Too long ago.
Mostly they were all from Perth.
Yeah,
Oh, we got Perth
Yeah,
umpires
they
up
always
here.
used to
league
come down.
umpires.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Were you on the ball?
maybe.
Yeah.
I was
As
a
a
bit like,
centreman or a rover?
oh, I did a bit of roving, a bit of wing. I was pretty average B-grade country footballer, really, but
No,
When you run out of players, you get a gig.
This is a show that's 20 odd years later on, or so you can be a champion.
In my wildest dreams, yeah.
So the oval, it's down the other end. There's a fair bit of bush and then the road. Who was the poor fella out to go and get the footy? Because I reckon that footy would have been on the road a fair bit.
Mostly me.
Was that your claim to fame?
Yeah.
Go down the road. Now, Red,
Yes.
what's your favourite moment of this ground, mate?
Oh,
Did you play in a premiership here, firstly?
no, not in a premiership.
Not
no.
a premiership?
No,
What
I
is
didn't.
your favourite memory here?
Oh, every Sunday.
You just loved it that much?
Yeah.
Something I do get talking to you guys and the guys up at the hall is the passion within this football club. There's something really special about the Moulyinning Footy Club, isn't
There
there?
was, yeah. And I think, that all come from Joe too, I think, a lot of it. Because as the blokes have been talking, we all looked after one another on the footy ground. It was, we just got on. I think that's why we're such a successful club. And it was probably just as simple as that, really. It was a great footy club to play, and we had a great coach.
And you also had some pretty good parties, they tell me. There was a couple of bonfires. Now, is it true the train line, which runs right behind us, used to stop and get off and have a couple of coffins himself? Is that a true story?
I don't think he wanted to stop, but he got stopped many times. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, very true.
So what were the crowds like? Did you have to pay to come in?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
What was the entrance when you blokes were playing?
Oh,
Can you
God.
remember?
No, I don't. It's probably 2 bob or something like that. But
No, I cannot.
Did you ever pay or did you walk in?
no, I drove in, but yeah, this place is special. It's like family. Hockey and footy on the same day. So your parents, grandparents were there. So that's why it was so special, really. It was everybody got on. It's a farming community. Yeah, there was no blues.
Look, there is a bit of a story going around, I believe. The change room's behind us. A fire. Does all this make a story up? Does anyone know anything about it? Come on, Big Red. What is the true story about the fire?
Well, a couple of great footballers, Frosties, we'll call them. They arrived. They both worked in Dumbleyung that year, or a lot of the time they played footy here, and they knocked off and, of course, come out for training. And we never trained during seeding, but once everybody nearly got most of the crops in Joe, we had to come to training. Anyhow, it's one particular night they were running a bit late, and we'd finished training, and we're in the old change rooms here, and we had a little pot-belly stove, one of those cast iron ones. And of course we had pies and all that in those days. A heap of pies laying on top of this pot-belly stove, warming them up. And these pair of buggers rock up. We didn't know they come because they come in on the back track, these old tennis courts on the other side of the road, on the roof, and tipped a bit of petrol down the chimney, and of course, whooper. Away they went, and we had pies and bits of cast iron everywhere in the change rooms that particular night, so yeah.
No one was injured?
No.
All in good fun?
All in good fun.
Oh, that is a terrific story.
Yes, it was a funny night.
It's unique, isn't it? You just look around the countryside, like, it's a small town, but with such a big heart to it.
Yep. Yep. No, you're dead right.
Very determined people.
Can I ask you guys, and I should have asked that, when did you see the end coming for your football club?
Probably 2 years before we folded, because a lot of us were playing 2 games to try and keep the club going. Probably a couple of years prior. We just sort of ran out of numbers.
Yeah.
And none of us wanted to see it, fold. But we just did our best, and that's as far as we got. Yeah.
What are we talking? 73, somewhere around there?
73, we folded, yes.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
Did you get through that season, or did you start the season and go, look, we haven't got the numbers?
We played finals.
Yeah, no, we got through it. Yeah, we got in the finals.
Got in the finals then, couldn't you?
Yeah, yes.
How, the last game here would have been a bit of a tinge of sadness when you knew it was all done. What did you guys do after that? I know there would have been a bonfire and a couple of beers, but was there a few tears done?
Oh, I think so, yeah there was. Yeah, no doubt about that.
Pedro, were you quite happy you didn't have to run that boundary?
No, I could have stayed here for years.
Yeah.
But as Red said, we just ran out of numbers.
Yeah, it's not Lone Ranger. That's why we're doing the show. So many great stories like you guys around the place. We talk about Joe, your dad, Pearce. We're going to catch up with you later on, Tom, and just have a bit more insight into him. But his character, every time we talk about this football club, he's involved. Must have been a magical man.
He certainly was. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't much of a footballer before I came to Mooley, but I learned pretty quick. And that was mainly through Joe Pearce.
Did he give anyone a spray? Or was he a more...
Yeah.
Because just talking to Tom, he's a very mellow sort of fellow. Was Joe like that?
Oh, only unless you did something.
Most of the time, yes, he was.
Yes.
I don't recall him ever
getting
wild.
No. He was just a nice...
Very gentle.
One of those gentle bugs, yep. No. And he'd make a football out of just about anybody, I'd say.
That was his talent, hey?
He knew how to treat people.
Because that is fantastic. Yeah. We're going to catch up a bit more about Joe Pearce, the legend, can we call him, later on. But gentlemen, thank you very much for your stories. It is something very, very special about standing here out on this oval.
Yeah, it's like coming home.
Just on our way to Tom's property. And we've heard two different versions of the fire story. The man with the other side is right here. Gary, come on out. Now,
yes, sir.
The fire story?
The fire story.
Who was that? Who was right and who was wrong? Just a quick one? We've heard both versions?
Well, it was me and my brother. The cops had chased us all the way out here, so we had to hide over there behind the shed in the tennis court. So
your version's right?
My version's right, where he's poured it down, boof, and there's soot and crap and shit going everywhere.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, that's true. True story.
This is a very unique scoreboard behind us.
Yes.
Still standing.
Yes.
And I believe your family had a bit to do with building it.
My Uncle Neil built this in, I'm thinking around 1960. I was only about 8. And because he built it and put it here, we being owner-operators, we thought we'd man it as kids. There was a few of us Frost kids. So we used to man the scoreboard. It was never usually that accurate because we were always out here kicking the foot.
Now, tell you, the ladder up there is a fair way to reach for young fellas. Did you manage all right?
Yeah, we seemed to. Yeah. Once you get on the top rail there, it was okay.
And it's pretty. The door is still
operational. Yeah, it still slides.
Let's have a bit of a.
Oh, look at it. Say that.
How good's that?
After 63 years, it still works.
And I'll tell you what, you've got a couple of numbers there too, mate.
Yeah, the big ones were the ones that Mooley used to score. Number 15, it was usually 15 goals or more. And
so you just had the 15 on the one plate?
Yeah, and the number 2 was usually on the opposition. So.
That is fantastic. What about your good self? How many years did you play at the Moulyinning Footy Club?
I came here when I left school. Obviously, as a kid, we used to idolise these guys playing footy. And then when I went away, I came back 3 years later, and I was actually playing with these legends of the game. And it just blew me away to sit in the change rooms. So that would have been in 1968 when I came here, halfway through the year, and played till the end of 73 when they folded.
Is that how high esteemed the league players were here for kids looking up?
Yes,
for?
Very much.
And when you did get your first run, do you remember your first game?
Well, I played Resi's obviously as a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
I came through the B grade the A grade, the reserves in about June of 68, halfway through the season, and then progressed to the league the following year. So.
How'd you find out you were in the league side?
Because one of the guys got injured on the wing. I played all my footy on the wing for Mooley, and 69 was the year that we won the grand final out at Newdigate against Cooker, so that was.
And you played in the league grand final that year?
Yeah, it was a real experience. Yeah.
How was the party?
It was quite big, I think.
How was the game? Did you have the game in the bag early?
Yeah, well, at half time we were a couple of goals up, which I don't think we were meant to be, but we were, and we went on. And yeah, Joe always played with tactics. He had this unique way of getting the best out of his players. He was just an incredible man. The day he said to us at training, he said he's given up coaching. All us young blokes just about thought, that's it, we're finished. We can't win anymore, because Joe just held us, not much esteem with us young guys, because he just lived and breathed the young fellas.
That is fantastic.
He really, he promoted us young, but we wanted to do it. We played for Joe, and that's what you did.
So which wing is named after you on the oval here?
This one and that one.
Yeah, got both names on the wing, so that is fantastic.
Yeah.
Was there a scoring end?
Yeah, normally this one, because it was, you always used to get a nor'wester or whatever, and it was sort of slightly downhill. And yeah, Eric Edwards would be kicking them from out here somewhere.
And those goalposts, were they originally painted white?
They probably were, yeah.
Yeah. Because they're water pipe, aren't they?
Yeah, they're just galvanised pipe.
Yeah, magnificent.
You run into them, you know you've hit one.
Yeah.
But they were big boys.
Are you proud that the scoreboard is still standing here?
Oh, it's unique, and every time I come to Mooley, which is not that often, but when I do, I always come here and have a visit and have a little prayer from my Uncle Neil. Yeah, and have a look at his scoreboard. And it's still working, I just can't believe it.
That is absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Terrific to catch up with you, mate. Thanks for letting us be part of your club.
Yeah, no worries.
Moulyinning Footy Club, yeah. Well, I'm with Tom Pearce, and there's one name around here that is an absolute legend of this area and of WA football, and that's Tom's dad, Joe. Mate, you must be very proud of Dad's efforts.
Yeah, no, he's a mighty man to do what he did. Came back from 3.5 years of being a POW and willed himself back into shape and kept on playing footy.
Let's go back. Unfortunately, Joe's passed away, but he got to 90 odd.
95, yes.
Was he still going to footy at 90 odd?
We took him every now and then. His last couple of years were in Dumbleyung Hospital, where he was well cared for, but his mind was sharp, but his body was buggered.
Let's just go back to the early days. What did he do before he started playing at Moulyinning Footy Club?
Yes.
And then what did Joe do?
He left school at 14, started playing, I think he played a year or two for Mooley, and then I think Mooley folded for a couple of years and he played a year at Cookeran and one at Harrismith. And then he just played for Mooley, and then I think he went down in 1939 to Swans, and then in 1940 he played half a year and he enlisted and then went away in 41.
So went away to war?
Yep.
Was a prisoner of war. That must have been horrendous for him. Did he ever talk much about that period of his life?
Did a little bit, not as much early, but we went back with him in 92. Anne and I and we were very lucky and privileged with a lot of the old fellas went back to Hellfire Pass in Thailand, and I think that helped heal a lot, and he talked a lot more after that about what they'd been through. What
was it like for you as a young fella to go back to where Dad would have done it very, very hard? Was it a pretty emotional sort of place to visit?
It's amazing. I went over there, all the grandkids have been back, Dad wanted them to go back, and I went back this year with Jack, our youngest. And to be in Hellfire Pass and then walk through to another cutting where Dad actually worked was absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, it is. It's very emotional.
And then to come back and to start a football career again, that's almost unheard of, because you wouldn't have went to hell and back. That's a pretty proud moment too. So he come back to join Swan Districts? He came back home, and I think it took him a year or more to get his body right again, but he was determined that the Japanese weren't going to take away. He lost 3.5 years. He was determined that he was going to make that up. So back to Swans he went, and he won 2 fairest and bests with them, and I think he came equal third in the Sandover one year. So yeah, no, he did very well, and then came back, and the boys asked him if he'd coach Mooley, and he said, on one condition, you have to train. That is you know, you knew him probably better than anyone else. His mindset sounds to be as strong as anything. Just to come back from that sort of lifestyle and to work back into a fairest and best, it took a real big mindset. Yeah, very, very strong-willed, very, very stubborn, but still one of the kindest and strongest men you would ever, and honest man you would ever meet. And Swan District's, a couple of fairest and best down there, and I believe the Anzac Day game's still named after him? Yes, when they have an Anzac Day game, and they have the
Joe Pearce Courage Award that they give out every now and then if someone they think is deserving of it in the Swans Club. So Swans have honoured him really well. They've done a wonderful job.
And he come back. How did he go when you went to play for Claremont?
He wasn't too worried actually. We played off in a preliminary final and played against them in 2 grand finals, which Swans won. So he was probably smiling, a little bit happy one day and really happy the other.
Now you come back to coach Moulyinning.
Yes.
9 consecutive grand finals. That is a huge effort. I was speaking to everyone today. They just got this awe. He's in awe. What did he have that was so special?
I think the best thing about Dad was that everyone was equal. I think he probably learnt that that was him as a young man, but I think being in the prisoner of war camps, it didn't matter whether you were, the top of the was a brigadier or you were just a private down the bottom. Just in that situation, everyone was equal, and he always treated everyone the same.
Was he a playing coach when he come back, or did he just go back to coaching?
No, playing coach, yeah, for a start.
Did you get to watch him play?
Oh, only as a kid, so I don't remember much. When I saw him play, he was pretty buggered.
Yeah. Did you ever play under him as a coach?
No.
So he didn't coach the junior footies?
No.
Did he hand on a fair bit of football knowledge to you?
Oh yeah. When be up there killing sheep and I'd be mucking around with the footy and he'd be putting it against the thing and say pick it up and spin so they can't get your body and just little things like that. Yeah, no, he was, when he spoke you listened.
Outstanding. When did he give away coaching?
I think about 1970, about a couple of years. I think Graham Gooding coached Mooley for 2 years after Dad gave it up and then Mooley folded, so yeah. When
the club folded, that must have hit Dad pretty hard because he'd thrown a lot behind the club, and obviously, like everyone in this district, they've got a real passion for that football club. How did he handle the closure of the club?
He was always forward thinking. It didn't matter whether it was farming or anything like that. He never dwelled in the past, and I remember him coming home. They had the meeting down the hall and he came home and Mum just said to him, so what happened? And he said, no, they've decided to fold. They didn't see the future being too bright. And he said, I didn't vote because I didn't know. He said it was up to the young fellas what they wanted to do. And so that was the end. He was very circumspect about it. It would have hurt, but yeah.
You just spoke of Mum there. Did they meet around here, your dad and Mum, or did they meet somewhere else?
They met at the Scarborough Hotel.
Oh, nice.
Not long after Dad was back from the war. She was a war widow and they met down there and they were married very quickly. He adopted Sister Alison. And then Tracy came along after that, then me, so yeah. No.
And your 2 sisters are fairly handy sportsmen as well?
Sports
persons?
Yes, Alison played a bit of hockey for Murley. She passed away a few years ago, unfortunately. But and Tracy followed in the footsteps and played for Surf down in Perth, where all the aunties played and what have you. And so she was a state junior, and I think she coached the state school girls or something like that. So she was pretty handy too.
A famous sporting family and a terrific bloke. Thanks very much for your help today. And look, we could talk about your dad all day and your good self because it has been absolutely brilliant. Thanks for your efforts and thanks for being on one last kick.
Thanks, Alan.
Hey! Well, what a magnificent day we had catching up with some of the people that were involved in the Moulyinning Football Club. Their laughter and banter, well, it was infectious. Even though their football club closed its doors a long time ago, you can still feel the love and respect they have for each other and their club. And of course, we learned a bit more about the legend, Joe Pearce. We think it's very important that we remember and document these clubs that were part of our history. So if you'd like your club on this great show, please contact us on the details below. We'd love to see you.